Undercover CEO enters his own store, stunned when a worker flat out refuses to assist him. Sounds like the start of a wild tale, right? Daniel, the founder and CEO of a rapidly growing home goods chain, had decided to walk into one of his own stores dressed in casual jeans, a wrinkled shirt, and sneakers so worn they looked older than the building itself. He even pulled an old baseball cap snug over his hair and let a few strands of stubble show on his chin. Despite owning the entire chain, he needed this camouflage. He wanted an unfiltered experience of what was really happening at the ground level. Would the store's staff treat him like any other guest, or would they notice something strange and give him the executive treatment? That morning he craved nothing more than the truth. He remembered how this idea first came to him in a moment of frustration. The company's revenue was soaring, expansions were happening at breakneck speed, yet he sensed a disconnection. Growth on paper didn't necessarily translate to growth in the hearts of employees. Daniel felt that an invisible distance had crept in between him and the people who were powering the daily operations. Sure, he read reports, analyzed metrics, and visited stores in an official capacity, but all of that felt orchestrated. No one revealed raw, unfiltered truth when the boss was around. He worried that amid the corporate targets, top-down directives, and relentless scaling, the original spirit of his business, genuine connection with customers, had been lost. He recalled how, in the early days, he'd set out with nothing more than an empty warehouse and a big dream. The name of his store, Harper's Haven, became synonymous with warm customer care. A simple smile and a friendly greeting could make a store visit feel special. He wanted Harper's Haven to be a place where every person felt genuinely valued, and where employees saw themselves as part of something bigger, not just clock punchers. However, as the chain expanded, reality began to gnaw at that dream. He saw bigger staff rosters but less personal engagement. He spotted more uniform training programs but fewer heartfelt interactions. Each new store opened brought in additional revenue, but threatened to dilute the very soul of the company. So Daniel decided to break the pattern. He'd go undercover as a regular customer. He planned the visit meticulously, choosing a store on the outskirts of the city, in a community recently populated by young families seeking more affordable homes. This store wasn't the best performing nor the worst. It was somewhere in the middle, perfect for a genuine slice of the day-to-day. He showed up right at 9 a.m., just as the doors were unlocking, hoping to see how things looked before the rush. The parking lot was sparsely occupied, and the few early shoppers seemed more focused on sipping their morning coffee than on bustling around. Daniel walked in slowly, letting the store's ambience sink in. The space felt tidy but a bit impersonal. A large promotional display for a new eco-friendly decor line stood front and center, proclaiming limited-time sale in bright lettering. He noticed a man behind a service desk, presumably a manager or supervisor, but the man hardly looked up from his computer. Distracted or indifferent, Daniel couldn't be sure. He decided to browse quietly, watching how employees interacted with the handful of incoming customers. Near the clearance aisle, he overheard two staff members laughing about their weekend plans, leaning against boxes that likely needed to be unpacked. No one approached him to see if he needed help. He felt a twinge of disappointment, but reminded himself to stay open-minded. Maybe they were just settling in for the day. A few minutes later, he drifted into the lighting section, spotting a tall, thin employee wearing the store's polo shirt. The man's name tag read Alec. Daniel picked up a night lamp and politely asked about a chandelier displayed overhead. Alec offered a dismissive glance, not even turning fully to face him, and replied, "I'm not sure, maybe check aisle 12 if we have it." Then he walked off. Daniel stood there perplexed. That brief exchange left him feeling brushed aside. Still, he pressed on. Appearances could be deceptive, and one lackluster employee didn't tell the whole story. After a bit more wandering, he found himself in the furniture area, where an employee with a friendlier demeanor was helping an older couple choose a recliner. This young man named Adam had a warm glow about him as he explained features to the customers, focusing on their comfort and needs. Daniel lingered, pretending to examine a lamp. He felt a spark of hope simply observing how Adam interacted with people. Polite, attentive, genuinely kind. After the couple left, Daniel stepped forward. "I'm looking for a narrow bookshelf," he said. "I've got way too many books but not a lot of space." Adam smiled, his eyes lighting up as though he loved this kind of conversation. "Great. We have a few options that might work," he offered, leading Daniel to a section where modern, slender shelves were showcased. Adam explained how each unit could hold a decent number of books without taking up too much real estate in a small room. Daniel nodded, impressed by Adam's knowledge, but even more by his warmth. It was reminiscent of how Harper's Haven employees used to treat customers when the chain was just beginning. As a test, Daniel asked about revamping his living room on a tight budget. Lighting, an armchair, the works. Without missing a beat, Adam guided him through various aisles, suggesting affordable but durable pieces. He pointed out items on sale and offered personal opinions, making Daniel feel both informed and cared for. For a moment, Daniel nearly forgot that he was the boss in disguise. The entire store seemed different when viewed through Adam's lens. They reached the checkout area after about half an hour, Adam cheerfully balancing an armload of items Daniel had selected. The line at the registers looked chaotic, though. Another employee seemed flustered by a computer glitch, while customers grew restless. Adam quickly stepped in, resolving the issue with swift competence. A customer trying to exchange an online order left looking relieved and grateful, praising the store for its helpful staff. Daniel felt a profound appreciation for Adam's initiative and skill. That was the attitude he'd always envisioned at Harper's Haven. Then, out of the corner of his eye, Daniel spotted Alec again, leaning against a counter and fiddling with his phone. He heard Alec grumbling softly, complaining about stocking duties and about how customers wasted his time. Daniel felt a pang of dismay, recalling how Alec had brushed him off. It amazed him that two employees, presumably given the same training, could exhibit such vastly different levels of engagement. Soon afterward, as Adam was ringing up Daniel's purchases, Alec passed by, rolling his eyes. "You're spending way too long on one customer," Alec muttered under his breath. Adam ignored the comment, focusing on finalizing the transaction. A tall man with a gray tie appeared next. Carl, the store manager. He asked if things were running smoothly, and Adam nodded, though Daniel noticed Carl's curt tone and the strain in Adam's smile. Once the purchase was complete, Daniel quietly asked Adam how he liked working there. Adam replied that he found customer service rewarding, though the store was often short-staffed. His answer hinted at some underlying challenges, but his positive spirit shone through. Daniel thanked him and walked away, scanning the environment more critically. Alec was back to aimlessly strolling the aisles. A small group of employees giggled at something on a phone instead of helping customers. Carl was nowhere in sight, and the checkout lines grew. Confirming his suspicions, Daniel decided to take one more test. He went over to the shelf of light bulbs, grabbed 2 brands, and walked up to Alec at the customer service desk. With no one else waiting, Daniel asked which brand was better for reading lamps. Alec sighed, barely disguising his annoyance. "Dude, read the label if you can, wattage is right there," he said. Daniel tried one more time, asking which brand lasted longer. Alec shrugged dismissively. "Google it or something," he mumbled. Daniel felt his chest tighten. This attitude went against every value he believed Harper's Haven stood for. He thanked Alec and backed away, returning to Adam with the same question. Adam calmly explained the differences, clarifying wattage, brightness, and longevity, all with a genuine interest in helping Daniel make the right choice. The contrast could not have been sharper. Satisfied that he had seen enough, Daniel slipped out of the store. The next day he returned, this time not in disguise. He wore a sharp suit, polished shoes, and an air of authority that couldn't be mistaken for any regular shopper. He had emailed the store the night before, notifying them of a CEO visit. The difference in atmosphere was immediate. Carl waited at the entrance, looking tense. Employees scrambled to straighten displays. Alec stood behind the service desk, trying to appear alert. Adam was assisting customers as usual, his friendly manner intact but with a hint of anticipation in his eyes. Carl greeted Daniel with a stiff handshake. "We're honored to have you here, Mr. Harper," he said. Daniel smiled politely and told Carl he'd like to do a quick tour, then hold a staff meeting in the break room. While Carl pointed out well-stocked shelves and promotional setups, Daniel looked around with a critical eye, aware that the sudden burst of efficiency was likely prompted by his presence. At the meeting, about 15 employees gathered in a semicircle. Daniel thanked them for their hard work but explained that he'd been visiting stores undercover. A ripple of astonishment spread through the room. Alex stared at the floor, clearly recalling his rude behavior. Carl shifted uneasily, and Adam tried to mask his surprise. Daniel described two contrasting experiences, one with an employee who refused the simplest help and another who went above and beyond to ensure customers felt valued. He spoke of how Harper's Haven was founded on making people feel at home and how success required sincere customer engagement. Some employees looked nervous, others thoughtful. Then Daniel unveiled his plan for change. "We're launching the Haven Heart program," he said. "It's a new initiative designed to bring back that sense of genuine care. We'll have monthly workshops on communication and conflict resolution. We'll build a mentorship system, pairing seasoned employees who excel in customer service with newer hires. If you show dedication, there are wage increases and fast-track promotions in store." He paused, then turned to Adam with a meaningful look. "We'll also create scholarship opportunities for employees who want to continue their education in business management or related fields. This company isn't just a brand, it's a community." Adam's eyes lit up, his dreams of going back to school suddenly in reach. Alec looked uneasy, probably imagining that his apathy would be hard to hide under the new system. Carl stood straighter when Daniel announced that management would be held accountable too. Store managers would need to spend more time on the floor, coaching employees, and part of their performance review would now hinge on customer satisfaction and staff retention. No more hiding behind spreadsheets alone. "Who's ready to renew the original mission of Harper's Haven?" Daniel asked. Adam was first to raise his hand, firmly declaring his commitment. Others joined, some hesitantly, some with genuine enthusiasm. Alec mumbled that he'd do it, though he clearly had reservations. Daniel accepted these varied responses, aware that not everyone transforms overnight. In the following weeks, the Haven Heart program rolled out. Training sessions taught employees how to greet customers warmly and how to handle returns or complaints with empathy. A mentorship system linked enthusiastic staff with those who struggled. Carl had to step out of his comfort zone, spending more time supervising in real-world situations rather than from behind a desk. Alec at first tried to dodge extra training. He grumbled about feeling unappreciated and about customers being too demanding. Daniel sat down with him one day, calmly laying out the new expectations. If Alec wanted to stay, he needed to commit to better service. If not, it might be time to move on. Faced with that reality and the prospect of wage increases if he improved, Alec decided to give it a shot. Slowly, he began showing up to workshops, though with reluctance. Over time, as he learned practical techniques for communication, and as he saw the store's atmosphere brightening, he softened his approach. His transformation was gradual, but he started giving customers the help they needed without rolling his eyes every 2 seconds. Meanwhile, Adam thrived. Paired with an experienced manager from another branch, he learned leadership fundamentals, store operations, and team-building strategies. His natural passion for helping people grew, and Daniel noticed every step of his progress. One afternoon, Adam quoted Maya Angelou to Daniel, "People might forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel." Daniel appreciated how smoothly Adam wove that quote into their conversation. It was exactly the sort of wisdom that resonates with customers and team members alike, especially those in middle age, seeking a more thoughtful perspective on service and kindness. Under the renewed ethos, the store's reputation improved. Customers wrote glowing online reviews praising the friendly and attentive staff. Revenue rose more than ever, which was ironic given that the shift in focus was away from numbers and toward people. Employees who once viewed the job as mere clock punching began to take pride in their roles. Carl reported that turnover had dropped significantly. Daniel complimented him. "That's real leadership, being out on the floor, supporting your team." Though problems still cropped up, like shipping delays or long lines at peak hours, the staff handled them with grace. Instead of dismissing complaints, they apologized and worked on a quick solution. Customers noticed and appreciated this change. One day, Daniel invited everyone to gather in the break room after closing, treating them to pizza and soda to celebrate the program's success. Even Alex shared a small success story, helping a demanding customer find the right paint for a home project. The experience had ended with the customer smiling and thanking him by name. A few employees applauded, and a faint grin appeared on Alex's face. It was a rare moment, but progress nonetheless. That evening, Daniel also promoted Adam to Customer Experience Coordinator, a new position that, while not an official managerial role, came with a raise and responsibilities for training and community outreach. Adam was stunned and overjoyed, thanking Daniel for the opportunity. "I never thought I could grow like this in retail," Adam confessed. "Now I see it's possible." Daniel patted him on the shoulder. "Your genuine care for customers and team members is exactly what we need more of." Weeks passed, and Daniel made it a point to drop by unannounced. Sometimes he wore casual clothes, sometimes his usual suit. Either way, he no longer had to rely on disguises to see genuine employee behavior. He saw it in the warm greetings, the attentive aisle walkthroughs, and the polite problem-solving at the checkout counters. The shift from a store that ran on routine to one that thrived on empathy and engagement was palpable. One day, as Daniel sipped coffee in a small cafe area near the store entrance, a silver-haired man turned to him and said, "I've been shopping here for years, and I have to say, it's a lot friendlier now. It's not just about the sales, you know. They actually care." Daniel smiled, nodding. "Yes, I believe they do," he replied softly, grateful to see his vision come to life. Recalling how he'd once walked in and been refused help altogether, Daniel felt a surge of pride at the store's transformation. It wasn't perfect, but it was real progress. Alec had softened, Carl was learning to lead with empathy, and Adam was flourishing in his new role. Daniel saw firsthand that bridging the gap between corporate leadership and frontline employees takes more than memos. It requires stepping into their shoes and recognizing the reality they face each day. The lesson rang loud and clear. No matter how big a company becomes, it must stay close to its foundational values. The distance between the corporate office and the sales floor isn't just physical, it can become an emotional gulf that undermines everything if left unchecked. By meeting his employees where they were, sometimes literally, Daniel managed to reignite the very spirit that had sparked Harper's Haven's success in the first place. Leadership, he realized, isn't about lording authority from above, but about serving those who keep the vision alive on a daily basis. When people feel heard and supported, they invest more in their work. When customers sense genuine care, they keep coming back and bring friends. A rising tide lifts all boats, goes the saying, and Daniel saw that caring leadership was the tide. Which brings us to the deeper lessons. If you're leading a team or running a business, don't let growth blind you to what's happening on the ground. Sit with your employees, talk to your customers, see what they experience. Empathy isn't just a buzzword, it's a powerful force that can transform culture. Your employees are the first customers you should care about, Daniel often says. They will treat your real customers the way you treat them. That's the chain reaction you want. So what can you learn from this story? Empathy matters. True leadership demands humility. Compassionate employees form the bedrock of a flourishing business, and at the end of the day, customers rarely recall product specs but always remember how an interaction made them feel. If this story resonates with you, share it with a friend or colleague who might need to hear it. Leave a comment with your thoughts or follow along for more real-life tales showing that kindness is still very much alive in the world of work. We're all human beings trying to find our way, and a little empathy in any context goes a long way. I recall an afternoon when Daniel met with a group of retired teachers who frequently shopped there. One of them told him, "In our day, we taught our students that hard work and courtesy go hand in hand. You can't claim to be diligent if you're unkind." Those words stuck with Daniel as he pressed on with refining the Haven Heart program. He also remembered an old proverb: the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time is now. He understood that real change isn't about lamenting the past, but about taking steps now for a better future. The rejuvenation of Harper's Haven didn't just help customers, it energized the employees. Productivity soared because a nurturing environment inspires people to give their best. Tardiness dropped, and people began organizing after-work hangouts. Employees who possessed hidden talents, like photography or interior design, stepped up to make the store's displays more appealing. Carl discovered that one of his shyest employees had a knack for floral arrangements, transforming a drab storefront into a colorful welcome space. Daniel saw firsthand the synergy between personal fulfillment and professional success. When employees feel valued, they become engaged and enthusiastic. "I used to think high pay alone would do the trick," Daniel admitted at one training session. "Now I see fair compensation is crucial, but respect and a sense of belonging can drive people even further." The store also forged community ties. Adam organized a free weekend workshop on simple home repairs, only charging for materials. The event drew a wide array of people, single parents, seniors, curious teenagers, and became so popular that other stores replicated it. Even Alec joined one session, showing how to install LED strip lighting under kitchen cabinets, and he found satisfaction in teaching. Carl, for his part, started hosting monthly Talk to the Manager sessions in a cozy spot near the cafe. Instead of just leaving a feedback form at the exit, customers could talk in person about their experiences. An older gentleman mentioned difficulty finding battery-pounded reading lamps for his partially sighted wife. Adam immediately sourced a specialized supplier, and in 2 weeks the store stocked those lamps. Word spread that Harper's Haven was listening and acting on feedback, and more shoppers came with praise and constructive comments. Over time, these initiatives rippled beyond the store's walls. Customers felt they belonged to a community effort, not just a transaction. Employees, realizing their contributions mattered, approached daily tasks with renewed purpose. Sales and profits rose beyond Daniel's most optimistic forecasts. One bustling afternoon, Daniel observed from a distance, Adam calmly assisting a big family furnishing their new home, Alec adeptly helping a college student find affordable lighting, and Carl floating around to give advice and crack the occasional joke. The tension once palpable in the store had faded, replaced by a spirit of collaboration. As closing time approached, Daniel gathered the staff to share a Helen Keller quote he found apt: "Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much." It served as a reminder that everyone's individual contribution was vital, but working together was the real magic. So how do these lessons apply to your life? If you run a small business, think about what untapped potential lies within your team. If you're an employee feeling unseen, recall Adam's story. You never know when your dedication can spark an opportunity. If you're a shopper, don't underestimate the power of sincere feedback. You might help shape a better shopping environment for everyone. In our digital age, we can forget the irreplaceable human element in commerce and work culture. Customer loyalty often stems from genuine warmth, not just discounts. Employee loyalty thrives on recognition and pathways to grow, not just paychecks. By narrowing the gulf between the top brass and the front lines, businesses can rediscover their purpose. Daniel's undercover operation proved that sometimes leading from the top requires starting at the bottom. Whether that means putting on a disguise or just adopting a fresh set of eyes, the goal is the same: truly seeing your people and letting them see you. That's when transformation becomes inevitable. So if this story struck a chord, pass it along. Talk about it at dinner or at the office. Leave a comment if you've had similar experiences with workplace culture or customer service. Let's share insights and keep building a world where empathy drives success. Ultimately, Harper's Haven wasn't just about selling lamps, chairs, or shelves. It was about making sure every visit felt like coming home. As Daniel often says, when you put people first, success naturally follows. May this journey remind us all that behind every corporate title, every uniform, and every transaction lies a human being yearning for respect and connection, and that truth holds power in any line of work.